folks. Welcome to Rajni's Scholars. Today's topic is parotid gland structure. Today we are exploring the parotid gland, the largest of the major salivary gland, its complex anatomical relationships, the crucial structures traversing through it, and its clinical significance makes this gland essential knowledge for dental and surgical practice. Let's begin the overview and location. The parotid gland is the largest salivary gland, weighing approximately 15 to 30 grams. It's a serous gland, meaning it secretes watery saliva rich in enzymes, particularly alpha amylase for carbohydrate digestion. The gland is located in the parotid region, which lies below and in front of the ear. Specifically, it occupies a space bounded by the external acoustic meatus, posteriorly the ramus of the mandible, anteriorly the zygomatic arch, superiorly, and a line from the angle of the mandible to the mastoid process inferiorly. The parotid gland has an irregular wedge shape and is described as having three surfaces: superficial, anteromedial, and posteromedial. It has also three borders: anterior, posterior, and superior. The gland is enclosed within the parotid fascia, which is a thickened portion of the deep cervical fascia. This facial capsule is adherent to the gland and relatively unyielding, which explains why parotid infections and inflammation are extremely painful. Let us understand the surfaces and relations. Let's examine each surface and its relationship carefully. The superficial surface is covered by skin. Superficial fascia contains facial branches of the great auricular nerve and the parotid fascia. The lymph nodes are embedded within or just beneath its surface. Anteriorly, the parotid duct and accessory parotid gland, when present, lies on this surface. The anteromedial surface is the most complex. It's molded around the posterior border of the mandibular ramus and extends medially into the retromandibular fossa. Here, the gland is related to the masseter muscle anteriorly and the medial pterygoid muscle medially. Deep relations of the surface includes the styloid process and its attached muscles, stylohyoid, styloglossus, and the stylopharyngeus. The internal carotid artery lies deep to the styloid process with the internal jugular vein positioned laterally. The posterior medial surface is related to several crucial structures. Posteriorly, it contacts the mastoid process and the sternocleidomastoid mastoid muscle. The posterior belly of the digastric muscle lies along this surface. Medially, this surface is related to the wall of the pharynx and the carotid sheath containing the internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein, and vagus nerve. Understanding these relationships is critical for surgical safety during parotidectomy procedure. Structures within the gland. The parotid gland is unique because several vital structures pass through its substance. These structures from superficial to deep are the facial nerve, retromandibular vein, and external carotid artery. This arrangement is crucial for surgical planning. The facial nerve is the most superficial and surgical significant structure. After emerging from the styloid mastoid foramen, it enters the posterior medial surface of the parotid gland. Within the gland, it divides into 5 terminal branches, that is temporal, zygomatic, buccal, marginal mandibular, and cervical. These branches form the parotid plexus. The facial nerve essentially divides the parotid gland into superficial and deep lobes. Though no anatomical plane exists between them, approximately 80% of the gland tissue is superficial to the nerve and 20% is deep. This distribution is vital during parotidectomy. The superficial lobe can be removed while preserving the facial nerve. The retromandibular vein lies deep to this facial nerve. It's formed within the gland by the union of the superficial temporal and maxillary veins. The vein descends through the gland and typically divides into anterior and posterior branches near the lower pole. The external carotid artery is the deepest structure. It enters the gland's posterior medial surface and ascends through its substance within or just above the gland. It terminates by dividing into the superficial temporal and maxillary arteries. This bifurcation typically occurs at the level of the neck of the mandibular condyle. Additionally, the auricular temporal nerve, a branch of the mandibular division of this trigeminal nerve, passes through the upper part of the gland, providing sensory innervation. Parotid duct. The parotid duct, also called Stenson's duct, is approximately 5 centimeters long and emerges from the anterior border of the gland. The duct pushes forward across the superficial surface of the masseter muscle, approximately 1 finger's breadth below the zygomatic arch. This surface landmark is clinically useful at the anterior border of the masseter. The duct turns medially piercing the buccinator muscle. The duct then opens into the oral cavity at the parotid papilla, a small elevation on the buccal mucosa. Opposite the maxillary second molar tooth, This opening can be easily visualized during intraoral examination. The accessory parotid gland, when present in about 20% of the individuals, lies along the course of the duct on the masseter. It has a small accessory duct that joins the main parotid duct. Saliva from the parotid gland flows through this duct into the mouth, contributing significantly to oral lubrication and initiating carbohydrate digestion. The duct's vulnerability to trauma and stone formation makes it clinically important. Now, let us understand the innervation and clinical significance. The parotid gland receives parasympathetic circuitomotor innervation via the complex pathway. Preganglionic fibers originate in the inferior salivary nucleus, travel with the glossopharyngeal nerve, then continues as a tympanic nerve to form the tympanic plexus. The lesser petrosal nerve carries these fibers to the otic ganglion, where they synapse. Postganglionic fibers hitchhike along the auricular temporal nerve to reach the parotid gland stimulation salivation. Clinically, the parotid gland is significant for multiple reasons. Mumps, a viral infection, causes painful bilateral parotid swelling, parotid tumors, most benign pleomorphic adenomas require careful surgical excision to preserve the facial nerve. Sinolithiasis or salivary stones commonly affects the parotid duct, causing pain and swelling during eating. Frey syndrome or gustatory sweating can occur after parotid surgery when regenerating parasympathetic nerve fibers aberrantly innervate sweat glands instead of salivary tissue. Thus, parotid gland structure, the largest salivary gland with complex relationships and vital structures passing through it, essential knowledge for safe clinical practice. This is Richie Scholars Beyond Just Books. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.